Welcome to the Revenge Story Times channel. Growing up in the Montgomery household meant living in my sister Victoria's shadow, while I worked hard to earn everything I had. Victoria was handed life on a silver platter. Our father, James Montgomery, was the CEO of Montgomery Enterprises, one of the largest technology companies in the country. But he had an unusual approach to parenting, one that would eventually change everything. "Charlotte, why can't you be more like your sister?" Mom would sigh, watching Victoria glide through our mansion's marble halls in designer clothes. "She's already engaged to a senator's son. And what are you doing? Working at that tiny tech startup." What they didn't know was that the tiny tech startup was actually a subsidiary of our father's biggest competitor, and I was far more than just an employee. But we'll get to that part later. It all came to a head at Victoria's wedding, the social event of the season. 500 guests, a historic castle venue, and a dress that cost more than most people's yearly salary. I stood in front of my mirror, carefully wrapping the small gift box that contained a simple gold necklace. The $50 price tag was still visible through the tissue paper, and I deliberately left it there. "Charlotte," Victoria's shrill voice echoed through the bridal suite. "You're late for the pre-wedding photos. And what are you wearing?" I smoothed down my simple blue dress, purchased off the rack at a department store. Unlike the other bridesmaids in their custom-made designer gowns, I had insisted on choosing my own attire. "You're embarrassing me," Victoria hissed, her perfectly made-up face twisting into a scowl. "First you refused to wear the proper bridesmaid dress, and now this. Dad's entire board of directors is here." If only she knew that I had regular meetings with most of those board members. But that was my father's carefully guarded secret, one that had been in place for the past 5 years. The wedding ceremony went exactly as planned, excessive, showy, and dripping with obvious displays of wealth. I sat quietly in my assigned seat, notably separated from the rest of the family, watching Victoria marry Bradley Winchester, her ticket to even more social status. Then came the reception, and the moment that would change everything. "Time for gifts," Victoria announced, clapping her hands like an excited child. One by one, guests presented their expensive offerings: rare art, luxury car keys, exotic vacation packages. When it was my turn, I stepped forward with my small box. The room fell silent. "What's this?" Victoria asked, her voice dripping with disdain as she opened it. The $50 price tag fell to the floor, a $50 necklace from a department store. She held it up for everyone to see, and titters of laughter rippled through the crowd. "Charlotte," Mom said sharply, "how could you? Your sister deserves better than this." Victoria dangled the necklace between two manicured fingers like it was contaminated. "Well, I guess this is what we can expect from someone who works at a failed startup. Tell me, Charlotte, how does it feel to be such a disappointment?" The room was thick with anticipation, guests watching the drama unfold like a reality TV show. That's when I noticed my father standing near the back, a slight smile playing on his lips. Next to him was Marcus Chun, CEO of Chun Technologies, supposedly our family company's biggest rival. Actually, Marcus's voice cut through the tension. "I believe I can shed some light on Charlotte's employment situation." Victoria rolled her eyes. "What would you know about my sister's dead-end job?" Marcus stepped forward, commanding the room's attention. "Charlotte isn't just an employee at a startup. She's the CEO and founder of Quantum Innovations, which my company acquired last month for $2.3 billion. The silence in the room was deafening. "But that's impossible," Victoria sputtered, her face paling. "She works at some tiny company. She lives in a small apartment. She shops at department stores." Marcus continued, his voice carrying across the stunned crowd. "Your sister built that tiny company from the ground up, developing revolutionary technology that's now worth billions. And she did it without ever using the Montgomery name or connections." I finally spoke up, my voice steady. "The necklace is actually from the same store where you once told me I belong, Victoria. Remember 5 years ago, when you saw me shopping there and told everyone at your country club that I was an embarrassment to the family?" The memory hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Victoria's face cycled through shock, confusion, and horror as the implications sank in. But the revelations weren't over. My father stepped forward, that knowing smile still on his face. "There's more," he announced, his voice carrying the weight of authority that had built our family empire. Charlotte's success wasn't just about business acumen. It was about character. He turned to address the entire room, but his eyes were fixed on Victoria. 5 years ago, I set up a test for both my daughters. Victoria was given every advantage, every connection, and unlimited resources. Charlotte was given nothing but a small starter fund, the same amount I started with 30 years ago. I wanted to see what they would do with their opportunities. Father's words hung in the air like thunder before a storm. Victoria's perfect wedding reception had turned into something entirely different, a public revelation that would shatter her carefully constructed world. "The succession of Montgomery Enterprises," Father continued, his voice steady and purposeful, "has always been about more than just bloodline. It's about vision, integrity, and the ability to build something meaningful." Victoria's new husband, Bradley, suddenly looked uncomfortable, adjusting his bow tie. I knew why he'd married Victoria, partly because of her presumed future position as head of Montgomery Enterprises. "But Daddy," Victoria's voice had taken on the whiny tone she used when things weren't going her way, "you always said the company would stay in the family. That's why you've been grooming me, having me attend all those board meetings." Father raised his hand, silencing her. "No, Victoria. I had you attend those meetings to give you opportunities to learn, to show initiative. Instead, you spent those meetings texting your friends and planning social events." The crowd of wedding guests shifted uncomfortably. Many of them were business associates who had witnessed Victoria's behavior firsthand. Meanwhile, Marcus Chin added, stepping forward again, "Charlotte was building something remarkable. She attended those same board meetings, not as a Montgomery, but as the anonymous founder of a promising startup. She contributed valuable insights, asked intelligent questions, and earned respect without anyone knowing her true identity." I watched as memories flickered across Victoria's face, all the times she dismissed me at family gatherings, mocked my cheap clothes, bragged about her future role as CEO while I sat quietly, keeping my secrets. "The necklace you're holding," I said softly, drawing everyone's attention, "isn't just a $50 piece of jewelry. It's a reminder of who you really are, Victoria. 5 years ago, when you saw me shopping at that department store, you didn't just mock me. You told everyone I was adopted, because there was no way a real Montgomery would shop somewhere so common. You posted photos of me on social media, trying to shame me." Mom gasped. She hadn't known about this incident. Victoria had carefully hidden her cruel moments from our parents. "That day," I continued, "I made a decision. I would succeed or fail on my own merits, not the Montgomery name. I used the starter fund Dad gave us, the same amount he gave you, to found Quantum Innovations. You spent yours on a 3-month shopping spree in Paris." Victoria's hands began to shake. The necklace slipped from her fingers, clattering to the floor. But I'm the oldest. I'm supposed to inherit everything. That's why Bradley," she stopped abruptly, but it was too late. Her new husband's face hardened as he realized she had just admitted to marrying him for status and presumed wealth. Father cleared his throat. "It's time to announce the full succession plan for Montgomery Enterprises. As of next month, Charlotte will assume the position of CEO. Her merger with Chin Technologies has created the largest tech innovation company in the country. Victoria, you will retain your trust fund, but it will be managed by the board to prevent any more excessive spending." The room erupted in chaos. Victoria's perfectly arranged wedding cake suddenly didn't seem so important anymore. "You can't do this," she screamed, mascara beginning to run down her cheeks. "I'm the one who played by all the rules. I married the right person. I maintained our social status. You focused on appearances, while your sister focused on substance," Father interrupted. "Charlotte proved something I've always believed. True success comes from hard work, integrity, and vision, not from a last name. Bradley, who had been silent until now, stood up. "I think," he said stiffly, "we need to discuss the terms of our prenuptial agreement, specifically the clauses about misrepresentation of assets." Victoria's perfect wedding was unraveling faster than her designer dress. The guests were on their phones, undoubtedly spreading the news through their elite social circles. Her carefully curated image as the golden child of the Montgomery Empire was crumbling before her eyes. Mom finally spoke up, her voice trembling. "James, surely we can keep this private. Handle it within the family." Father's voice was stern. When she spread rumors about Charlotte being adopted, when she tried to sabotage every accomplishment her sister made because it didn't fit with her narrative of superiority. That's when Victoria did something I never expected. She laughed, a harsh, bitter sound that silenced the room. "You think you're so clever, don't you, Charlotte? Playing the poor, hard-working underdog while secretly being a billionaire CEO? Well, congratulations, you've ruined my wedding day. I hope you're happy." "I'm not happy, Victoria," I said, picking up the necklace from where it had fallen. "I'm sad that you never understood what really matters. This necklace represents the moment you showed your true character, and now everyone else sees it too." The aftermath was swift and dramatic. Bradley's family huddled with their lawyers in one corner. Victoria's society friends slowly edged away, already distancing themselves from her falling star. Our mother sat alone, finally forced to confront the true nature of her favored daughter. Father approached me, Marcus Chun at his side. "You've exceeded every expectation," he said quietly. "Not just in business, but in character. You could have exposed Victoria years ago, could have flaunted your success. Instead, you stayed humble, worked hard, and proved yourself worthy of not just running the company, but leading it into the future." Marcus nodded in agreement. The merger between Quantum Innovations, Chun Technologies, and Montgomery Enterprises will revolutionize the industry, and it will be led by someone who understands both innovation and integrity. I looked around the lavish wedding venue at the expensive flowers, the premium champagne, the designer dresses. None of it seemed to matter anymore. Victoria's perfect day had become a lesson in karma, a public revelation of the truth she tried so hard to hide. As guests began to leave, I placed the $50 necklace on Victoria's table. "Consider this a reminder," I said softly, "that true value isn't in the price tag, but in the character of the person wearing it." 5 years later, Quantum Innovations is the leading tech company in the world. Victoria and Bradley divorced 2 months after the wedding. She lives off her managed trust fund, no longer welcome in the society circle she once dominated. Sometimes she tries to contact me, usually when she needs money or favors. I have my assistant send her the same response each time, a photo of that $50 necklace. Mom eventually apologized for her role in enabling Victoria's behavior. She's trying to be better, to understand that success isn't measured in social status or designer labels. Dad continues to run the board of directors, proud that his test revealed the true nature of both his daughters. As for me, I still shop at department stores, live relatively modestly, and focus on innovation rather than attention. The only expensive thing I own is a frame on my office wall. Inside it is a $50 necklace, a reminder that character reveals itself not in moments of triumph, but in how we treat others when we think we're superior. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about proving that success and integrity aren't mutually exclusive. Victoria taught me that lesson, even as she never learned it herself. Thank you for listening. Until the end, see you in the next episode of Revenge Story Times. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Goodbye.